Are you kidding me right now? Are we seriously doing this again? WWE just pulled the most disrespectful, most infuriating, most absolutely insane stunt on Monday Night Raw, and I am about to lose my mind because nobody, and I mean nobody, is talking about the implications of what just went down backstage. A mystery attacker just took out Paul Heyman, the Wiseman, the special counsel to Roman Reigns, the man who holds more secrets and power in WWE than anyone else, and then in the same night, Bron Breakker, the most dominant force on Raw, gets absolutely demolished by the same person. And WWE has the audacity to give us absolutely zero answers, zero explanations, and expects us to just sit here and wait like obedient little fans while they drag this out for weeks. Well, I'm not staying quiet, and after you hear what I have to say, you're not going to be able to either. Let me set the scene for you because if you missed Raw, you missed one of the most chaotic nights in recent memory. The show starts normally enough, backstage segments, matches being announced, everything running smooth. Then, about halfway through the show, we get a segment with Paul Heyman. Now, Heyman hasn't been on Raw regularly because he's been managing Roman Reigns on SmackDown, so his presence alone was noteworthy. He's walking through the backstage area with that signature swagger, talking on his phone, probably making some kind of deal or scheming something because that's what Paul Heyman does. He's the master manipulator, the puppet master of WWE, and even when he's just walking down a hallway, you know something important is happening. Heyman walks past a few wrestlers, nods at some production crew, and heads toward what looks like a private area, maybe Adam Pearce's office or a meeting room. The camera follows him, and you can hear him on the phone saying something about the tribal chief and plans for Survivor Series, and just as he's about to open the door, the camera cuts to black. Not a smooth transition, not a fade to another segment, but a jarring, sudden cut that immediately feels wrong. When we come back from commercial break, there's absolute chaos. Referees are running toward the backstage area. Medical staff is sprinting down hallways. Adam Pearce is shouting orders, looking completely panicked, and we finally see what all the commotion is about. Paul Heyman is laid out on the concrete floor, unconscious, with a chair bent at an unnatural angle next to him. His glasses are shattered. His suit is torn. There's visible damage to the wall behind him, suggesting he was thrown or slammed into it with tremendous force. The medical team is checking his vitals, putting a neck brace on him, treating this like a legitimate emergency. And here's what makes this absolutely terrifying: Paul Heyman is not a wrestler. He's a 60-year-old manager. He doesn't take bumps. He doesn't get physically involved in this kind of violence. Attacking Paul Heyman isn't just crossing a line, it's obliterating every boundary of what's acceptable in wrestling storylines. This isn't about competition or championships. This is personal. This is dangerous. This is someone sending a message that nobody is safe. The WWE Universe immediately started speculating. Who would attack Paul Heyman? The list of people who have reason to hate him is extensive. Roman Reigns' enemies, which is basically half the roster, would have motivation. Solo Sikoa could have turned on the family. Jimmy USO has been on and off with the bloodline. Sami Zayn has history with Heyman and the bloodline. Kevin Owens absolutely despises Heyman. CM Punk has beef with everyone. The list goes on, and WWE knows it. They're banking on us spending the entire week arguing on social media about who's responsible, driving up engagement and ratings for next week's show. But here's where things get absolutely insane. About an hour later in the show, we're watching a match, I think it was Ivar vs. Bronson Reed, just a regular match to fill time, when suddenly the production truck cuts to backstage again. And we see Bron Breakker, the monster, the most physically intimidating specimen on the Raw roster, the man who's been destroying everyone in his path for months, walking through the parking garage. Breakker is in his gear, probably heading to the ring for a segment or a match later in the night, and he's completely alone. No security, no other wrestlers, nobody around. And that's when it happens. From out of nowhere, from behind a production truck, someone attacks Bron Breakker. And when I say attacks, I mean absolutely brutalizes him. This mystery person hits Breakker with what looks like a pipe or a steel rod, right across the back, and Breakker goes down. Now, Bron Breakker is not some small guy. He's 230 pounds of pure muscle. He's a legitimate athlete with amateur wrestling credentials and strength that's off the charts. For someone to drop him with one shot means this attacker is either incredibly strong, incredibly skilled, or both. Breakker tries to get up, tries to fight back, but the attacker is relentless. They hit him again, and again. They throw him into a car. They slam his head against a concrete pillar. This isn't a wrestling attack. This is an attempted assault that looks like it belongs in an action movie, not a wrestling show. The most frustrating part is that the attacker is wearing all black, including a black mask that covers their entire face. We can't see any identifying features. Their body type is obscured by loose clothing. They're clearly trying to hide their identity, and they're doing a damn good job of it. The attack lasts maybe 45 seconds, but it feels like an eternity because you're watching one of WWE's most dominant stars getting absolutely destroyed by someone we can't identify. Then, just as suddenly as it started, the attacker runs off into the darkness of the parking garage, disappearing before anyone can get there to help Breakker or identify the culprit. Security finally arrives, along with more medical staff, and Bron Breakker is in bad shape. He's conscious, which is more than we can say for Heyman, but he's clearly hurt. He's holding his ribs, his back, and he's furious. Breakker is screaming at security, demanding they find who did this, threatening to tear the entire building apart. Adam Pearce shows up again, and you can see the absolute stress on his face because in one night, 2 major attacks have occurred on his watch, and he has no answers, no suspects, and no way to guarantee anyone's safety. Now, let's talk about why this is so much bigger than just 2 random attacks. Paul Heyman and Bron Breakker have absolutely nothing in common. They're not in a storyline together. They've barely interacted on screen. Heyman is connected to the Bloodline and Roman Reigns on SmackDown. Breakker is a singles competitor on Raw focused on championship pursuits. There's no logical reason for them to be targeted by the same person unless this attacker has a much bigger agenda than we realize. And that's what's so brilliantly terrifying about this angle. WWE has created a threat that transcends brand boundaries, championship pursuits, and individual feuds. This mystery attacker isn't going after people for normal wrestling reasons. They're making a statement, and that statement is that nobody is untouchable. Think about the targets for a second. Paul Heyman represents power, influence, and legacy in WWE. He's been in this business for decades. He's managed the biggest stars. He's been involved in the most significant storylines. He knows where all the bodies are buried, metaphorically speaking. Attacking Heyman is attacking the establishment, the old guard, the power structure of WWE. Then we have Bron Breakker, who represents the future. He's young, incredibly talented, physically imposing, and destined for main event stardom. He's the next generation of WWE superstars. Attacking Breakker is attacking WWE's future, their investment, their next big thing. So, this mystery person is simultaneously targeting the past and the future, which suggests their motivation is about something fundamental to WWE itself. The theories are already running wild, and let me walk you through some of the most compelling ones because this mystery is going to consume the wrestling world for weeks. Theory number 1, this is someone from outside WWE making a statement. Maybe it's a top star from another promotion who's been granted permission to appear and is making their presence known in the most violent way possible. It would explain why they're targeting people across different brands and different levels of the card. They're not here for a specific feud, they're here to prove that WWE isn't as secure or as dominant as they think they are. This would be unprecedented, but WWE has done cross-promotional work before, and shocking the world with an outsider invasion would certainly generate massive attention. Theory number 2, this is an inside job by someone currently on the roster who's been overlooked and underutilized. Think about how many talented wrestlers are sitting in catering every week, not getting meaningful storylines or opportunities. Someone could have snapped and decided that if WWE won't give them a spotlight through traditional means, they'll take it by force. By attacking high-profile targets like Heyman and dominant forces like Breakker, they're guaranteeing that all eyes will be on them when they finally reveal themselves. It's a desperate move, but desperation breeds bold actions, and this would certainly be bold. Theory number 3, and this is the one that's gaining the most traction online, this is connected to the Bloodline saga. The Bloodline storyline has been running for years now, with numerous members being added, removed, betrayed, and brought back. There are so many moving pieces and so many people who've been burned by Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman that the list of potential attackers with Bloodline connections is extensive. Maybe it's Solo Sikoa finally turning on Heyman for perceived slights. Maybe it's Jacob Fatu making his main roster debut in the most explosive way possible. Maybe it's even Roman Reigns himself, having Paul Heyman attack to further some manipulative scheme we don't understand yet. The Bloodline is known for intricate storytelling and shocking betrayals, so this would fit perfectly within that narrative framework. Theory number 4, this is about Bron Breakker specifically, and Paul Heyman was collateral damage. Breakker has been dominant, destroying everyone in his path, and maybe he's made an enemy he doesn't even know about. Maybe there's someone from his past in NXT who's come to the main roster seeking revenge. Maybe it's someone from his family's wrestling legacy, the Steiner family, and this is about settling old scores or family drama. Attacking Heyman first could have been a way to throw everyone off the scent, making it seem like this is about something bigger when really it's just about taking down Bron Breakker. Theory number 5, this is a completely new character, someone who hasn't been on WWE television before, making their debut in the most impactful way imaginable. Wrestling debuts used to be straightforward. Someone would show up, cut a promo, maybe have a match. But in the modern era, debuts need to be spectacular, memorable, and instantly establish someone as a major player. What better way to do that than by taking out 2 of the most protected people in WWE in one night? When this person finally reveals themselves, whether they're a main roster call-up, a returning veteran, or a completely fresh face, everyone will already know they're a legitimate threat. Here's what makes this situation so frustrating for fans. WWE has a history of starting these mystery attacker angles and then either revealing the person too quickly without proper build-up, or dragging it out so long that by the time we get the reveal, nobody cares anymore. We've seen it happen multiple times. The anonymous Raw general manager angle went on for over a year and ended with a whimper. Various who attacked so-and-so storylines have been resolved in anticlimactic ways that left fans feeling cheated. So, there's a legitimate concern that WWE is going to fumble this angle just like they've fumbled others, and that's why the wrestling community is simultaneously excited and anxious about where this is headed. But let's assume, for the sake of optimism, that WWE knows what they're doing with this storyline. Let's assume they have a long-term plan, a satisfying reveal, and a payoff that makes all the waiting and speculation worthwhile. If that's the case, then what we witnessed on Raw is just the beginning of something that could redefine WWE programming for months to come. Imagine if every week, this mystery attacker targets someone different. Week 1, Paul Heyman and Bron Breakker. Week 2, maybe they go after a champion. Week 3, perhaps they target multiple people in one night. The fear and paranoia that would spread through the locker room would be palpable. Wrestlers would start traveling in groups. Security would be on high alert. The entire atmosphere of Raw would change, becoming more dangerous and unpredictable. From a storytelling perspective, this also opens up incredible opportunities for character development. How do different wrestlers react to this threat? Does someone like Seth Rollins, who's dealt with betrayal and attacks before, try to form an alliance to hunt down the attacker? Does someone like Drew McIntyre, who's never backed down from a fight, actively try to bait the attacker into targeting him so he can catch them? Do the champions start looking over their shoulders, wondering if they're next? Does Adam Pearce bring in outside security or even law enforcement, escalating this beyond typical wrestling storyline boundaries? All of these possibilities make for compelling television if executed correctly. Let's also talk about the implications for Paul Heyman specifically. If he's legitimately injured from this attack, what does that mean for Roman Reigns and the Bloodline? Heyman is the mouthpiece, the strategist, the brain behind Roman's continued dominance. Without Heyman, does Roman become vulnerable? Does he have to actually speak for himself more, which historically hasn't been his strong suit compared to his in-ring work? Does someone try to replace Heyman as the wise man, leading to conflict within the Bloodline? Or does Roman go on a warpath, demanding answers and threatening everyone until he finds out who hurt his special counsel? Any of these directions would add layers to the Bloodline storyline, which, despite running for years, is still one of the most engaging narratives in wrestling. For Bron Breakker, this attack could be exactly what he needs to reach that next level as a character. Breakker has been booked as an unstoppable monster, which is great, but monsters who never show vulnerability can become stale. This attack humanizes him in a way. It shows that despite his physical dominance, he can be caught off guard. He can be hurt. He can be vulnerable. How he responds to this will define his character going forward. Does he become paranoid and obsessive about finding his attacker? Does he become even more violent and aggressive in his matches, taking out his frustration on anyone who steps in the ring with him? Does he refuse to be intimidated and instead welcomes the challenge, wanting the mystery person to attack him again so he can fight back? All of these reactions would be compelling and would give depth to a character who's sometimes been criticized for being one-dimensional. The social media reaction to these attacks has been absolutely explosive, which is exactly what WWE wanted. Twitter is filled with theories, accusations, and debates. Reddit wrestling communities have megathreads analyzing every frame of the attacks, looking for clues about the attacker's identity. YouTube is flooded with breakdown videos, prediction videos, and rant videos from wrestling fans who are either thrilled or furious about this development. The wrestling world is talking about Raw in a way they haven't in months, and that's the ultimate goal of any wrestling storyline: get people talking, get them invested, get them to tune in next week to see what happens. But here's my concern, and it's a legitimate one: WWE needs to have a plan. They need to know who this attacker is, why they're doing this, and where this story is going. If this is being made up as they go along, if they're just doing this to generate buzz without a clear endgame, then we're headed for disaster. Wrestling fans are smart. We've been burned before. We know when we're being strung along, and if WWE doesn't deliver a satisfying conclusion to this mystery, the backlash will be severe. The reveal needs to make sense. The motivation needs to be clear and compelling. The payoff needs to be worth the weeks or months of speculation and waiting. So, what happens next? Well, next week on Raw, we're guaranteed to get updates on Paul Heyman's condition. We'll probably see Roman Reigns respond to the attack on his Wiseman, either via satellite from SmackDown or perhaps even showing up on Raw to demand answers. Bron Breakker will definitely be looking for revenge, probably calling out the mystery attacker and challenging them to face him in the ring instead of ambushing him in parking garages. Adam Pearce will likely announce increased security measures or some kind of investigation. And most importantly, the mystery attacker might strike again, targeting someone new and keeping everyone on edge. The wrestling community is divided on how to feel about this storyline. Some people love the mystery and the intrigue, appreciating that WWE is trying something different and creating a sense of danger that's been missing from the product. Other people are skeptical, worried that this is going to be another poorly executed angle that starts strong but falls apart. And then there are people who are just frustrated that we're doing another mystery attacker storyline when we've seen this trope so many times before. All of these reactions are valid, and honestly, we won't know who's right until we see how this plays out over the coming weeks. What I will say is this: if WWE is committed to this storyline, if they're willing to invest real time and resources into making it work, and if they have a genuine plan for a satisfying conclusion, then what happened on Raw could be remembered as the starting point of one of the best angles of the year. The pieces are in place. The targets are compelling. The mystery is engaging. Now it's just about execution. WWE has all the tools they need to make this work. The question is whether they'll use them properly or squander another opportunity to create something truly special. And that's what makes this so infuriating and exciting at the same time. We're at the beginning of something that could be amazing or could be a complete disaster, and we won't know which until we're deep into it. So, we're stuck waiting, speculating, and hoping that WWE knows what they're doing. Because if they do, we're in for one hell of a ride. If they don't, well, we'll be here complaining about another wasted opportunity in a few months. The attacks on Paul Heyman and Bron Breakker have changed everything on Raw, and whether you love it or hate it, you can't deny that WWE has everyone's attention right now, and that's exactly what they wanted.